Welcome back to Games Revealed. I'm James and also the Brink, and with me today is another guest that's returning, and you'll maybe see him more often. I don't know. How's it going, Mekel?
It's going good. Aloha. How's everyone doing? How you doing, James? How's it going?
I am doing good. So we were planning on doing another type of podcast today, and so we had to do a little bit of a U-turn, I guess, a little bit of a change of plans, which is not bad always. Can lead to some really good content. And for us today, the content, the title per se, or whatever you want to say, is going to be getting down to business in games. And Mikkel has a ton of experience in this. I have a lot of shallow experience with some
No.
deeper experiences. I have a lot of different takes on this, and so it's going to be a very interesting ride. So if you're ready to strap on in and really figure out if you want to join the industry, if you want to maybe dabble a little bit, it's so easy to dabble and just see if it's something you want to do. We're here for you.
Yeah.
So I will have to preface this. I do want to make sure I preface this. Let us know in the comments if you're on Spotify. There's some comments I think now. There's just myriad of different ways to get a hold of us. Let us know if you're thinking about doing it, what you're thinking about doing, and I need to do this kind of shout out more often in the future. So let us know. So, Mikhail,
Yeah. Okay.
speaking of getting down to business, before we fully get down into that, I kind of want to know what you're playing lately.
Okay. So I will I'll lightly touch on this because for fun, nothing. I'm not playing anything for fun. But for what I'm playing for this month, currently I'm playing Alone in the Dark. I'm playing Alan Wake 2, Spider-Man 2, which the embargo should be up this week actually. Uh
Oh, come on. Those are all three very fun games.
they are. But
I
like
know, but
it's
you're doing it for reviews. It's a little bit different and bringing it into the whole like business type of thing. When you're doing a business, when you're making money, you got to make the money. Sometimes you got to
yes.
do things even if you don't want to. And I
Yeah,
have a
it's
lot to say on that. We
so
can talk,
yeah,
meaning we can talk about that later.
yeah. So yeah, I'm covering those, which is kind of interesting because like two of those at least fit into the theme of October and Halloween and everything. So it's really cool. One of them I'm look. I'll just say this and I'll take any heat that comes with it. Alone in the Dark. How's that game, which we haven't had a new one in so long, and the amount of budget that is put into this game, where's that budget going toward the marketing? Because I don't really know anyone outside of reviewers and fans. Even fans are kind of like, wait, there's a new Alone in the Dark coming soon? Like, where's the marketing for that? And that's, yeah, I know it's a whole nother topic, but yes, that game
Oh
is,
no, it's a good topic though. And it's one that I'm like, I don't even know. I didn't know it's coming out this month. I thought it was coming out like in a couple of months because I'm like, I keep on seeing just to be determined or to be announced release dates. It's like, oh, it's another one of those games. It says 2023, but it's not going to come out. I don't know what they're doing. They're doing the opposite of Dead Space 3. They're like, you know what? Dead Space 3, they put a third of their budget into that instead of it just making a good game into marketing. That is, they put a third of their budget into marketing. We're gonna put nothing into our marketing budget and see how that works.
oh, don't even get me started on Silent Hill Ascension or that. Is it? Yeah, Silent Hill Ascension. So we're getting that reveal very soon. And
Ooh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm a Silent Hill. Like I know there's you got two types of Silent Hill fans. You got those who are old heads who basically Silent Hill 1 to 3, that's it, or sometimes Silent Hill 1 to 4, and anything else that's not made by Team Silent, they hate it. Anything like, oh, like we're never getting another Silent Hill. We get a new Silent Hill. Oh, it's not gonna be good. I'm not that Silent Hill fan. I'm on the other side of the fence, like more is good. Konami is actually not being
Me
lazy. We're getting more
yeah.
stuff. Like we got Metal Gear coming back, Silent Hill's coming back. What else they're doing that's coming back? Suikoden. That's it. Like Konami is stepping up. And what's funny is people say Konami hasn't made games since really was it Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain. They've been making pachinkos, but they've also been actually making games, maybe not very good ones, But there was a game that came out a year ago, like Konami, I love you guys, but come on, let's be honest. But they dropped a game that's a part of this, that's actually a sister series to Castlevania, that came out on PC, and I believe it came out on Switch, that completely went on the radar and nobody talks about, and that's Getsufuma. That's the sister series to Castlevania. And it's
Oh,
so good. Complete, like, amazing art style. It came out, I think it was last year, or maybe no, yeah, it was last year. It came out, and like nobody talked about it. And I'm like, this game is amazing. No one cares. But that, the whole Konami don't make games. Okay. Oh yeah, we got Contra coming back. Wait for it, my friends
that's
over there.
true.
They're making it the new Contra, and one of my friends, D Slugy, who's doing the artwork for that. And I'm like, nobody's talking about that either. Way Forward are amazing. They've even made Tom Hewlett, who did, I know this is controversial because he did Silent Hill 2 and 3 remake and people hate him for that. But he worked on Contra 4 for the DS, which was really good, and he's working on this one too. So, I mean, Konami got games. Yeah, I said it.
Konami's got games.
They got games.
There's not the games I want yet. Uh, yeah, no, it's oh man,
Oh, Lords of the
you're
Fallen. That too.
Lords of the Fallen, that's coming out soon.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
Yeah.
that. I can tease that.
Okay, good, 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 good. No, I'm hearing good things about Alan Wake too, and so I'm really excited for that one. I'm a big Alan Wake fan. I've played the game at least 1.5 times, so no, that game, the original doesn't hold up very well. Even the remake that came out, I was surprised they made the remake, and I'm like, or maybe it was a remaster. It was actually, I think, a remaster. They didn't remaster enough because that game doesn't hold up
Yeah,
as well as I was hoping. I like it. I like it. I like it
it,
for the story. But I've heard really good things that Alan Wake 2 is much more survival horror, um, which is good. And the trailers, if you watch the trailers, they look so good. But yeah, no, you hinted at like they're not for fun though, and I'd like to dive a little deeper into that and what it takes to, because we're the topic today. Okay, well, I need to stop doing this. What I've been playing fun stuff on Twitch. Uh, I've been playing Cyberpunk, and I haven't even hit Liberty status yet, aka, the expansion, Phantom Liberty. I've just been playing through it again. It's been fun. And then I've caught up, and I have had so many more bugs in that game. If you want to watch a buggy mess and me just enjoy it, come watch me play it sometime on Twitch, because the I've been on a crotch rocket, a motorcycle blasting down, and the map disappears and I fall down and it reappears and I'm in the slums. It's the most bizarre thing. I have a short coming out for it soon, but yeah, it's not to promote my other channel. Uh, but I played this day one. I had very little bugs compared to what I'm dealing with in this now. I'm still enjoying it, and I'm excited for it. Starfield, still trying to get through that. It's a fun game, but it's another one of those Bethesda games. Bethesda games, CD Projekt Red games can take me a couple of months. Like it took me a year to beat Witcher 3. I love that game. That's one of my favorite games. I don't know what it is. I just sometimes hard for me to get through things when I'm enjoying it. Sometimes.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm playing. I figured I'd let people know. uh, I don't do reviews as much as you though, Mekel. And so we can get this topic back maybe on track of what it's not easy doing content and doing stuff for yourself, doing your own business. Because if you're thinking about doing YouTube, if you're thinking about joining the industry in whatever different way, it's yeah, you a lot of it can be contract, where if you're doing YouTube, you're a contractor essentially with YouTube. And some,
Mhm.
like, in the way that you get paid, right? And so,
Mhm.
yeah. How how I mean, you have your ups and downs, right? Like in the sense, like it can be fun though. Like you still have fun with the games nowadays, don't you? Or is just getting a little harder?
Um,
put you on the spot. Don't worry.
You did. I got the spotlight on me. Um, I will say, if I was a consumer, 2023 would be a phenomenal year. I would love it because there's so much choice, so much variety.
There's so much.
As a reviewer, that half the times I don't even request this stuff, and it's like, oh, there's my inbox. Okay, cool. Ah, you're covering this. All right, all right. All right, we're doing this. How long? Oh my God, this game is long. Why do you think I haven't reviewed Starfield? I've had Starfield for a while. I've had the Phantom
Oh,
Liberty
that's right.
expansion for a while. I'm like, I don't have time for that, right? And I told those companies, I don't have time for it, right? It will come out, but I have, eh, when you've got kids, people, it's kind of hard, especially these long games. 2023 has had some long games back to back. There hasn't been a month that hasn't had a major title. And honestly, it makes game of the year very difficult to even decide because we've got everything that came out this year. Everything is long. But I have my ups and downs. I enjoy what I do because I enjoy the freedom that it gives me to be able to, be spend more time with my family, and really the only boss I'm really answering to is myself and whatever business partners I have or companies I'm contracted out to or I'm partnered with. The downside is just the amount of time that goes into it. So if you're going to be like reviewing a game, if a company gives you enough of a lead, and let's say like, okay, like I'll throw out a they're not really indie, but I'd say they're more like a double A studio. Well, yeah, a double A studio, like NIS America, right? They make the Ease games, they make the Trails series, which Trails is up there. If you want to talk about a great RPG series, Trails is up there with Final Fantasy. But
Hmm.
they give a month to 2 month lead. So this Gaia, I know I keep pissing
How
people
do you
off.
pronounce it? I always pronounce it this guy.
This Gaia, right? Sometimes I just screw up and say this Gaia, and then like I go back and I look at my what I record. I'm like, I'm not gonna re-record. I'm just gonna leave it in there, and I get so many
Same.
angry comments about that. But like, that game, I had months to work on it. I did a paid promotion with them for that game to promote
Mm.
the new features in it. I did that back when I didn't have my hair the way it is now. So I've had that game for at least 4 to 5 months because that's a long game. The Trails games, I get them 1 to 2 months out because they're minimum 140-hour games. Same thing with Ease, they're not that long, but they're usually like 30, 40 hours. So I get them out. So NIS, long story short, they give you enough of a lead to work it into your schedule, your day-to-day life. PlayStation does the same thing. I'm a PlayStation partner. They'll give you usually anywhere from 3 weeks to maybe, like a month, maybe a month and a half to work on something. Spider-Man 2, like I can announce publicly, I have it. I am working on a review for it. I've had that game probably 3 weeks now, and I'm not done with it. I don't even know if I'll be able to finish it by the time of embargo because it's long.
It's
Um,
I just don't
it's
know how you
it's
do it. Like there's so many games and you're right, it's so long. What's
yeah,
been so nice? And you can agree with we've talked about this before. Like short games, man, they're just so nice. They're
yeah.
so kind to us. That have to do more and more stuff in the industry. But Bunker, Amnesia the Bunker, I think it's Amnesia the Bunker. That game was amazing. It was like 6 hours, I think. Loved it. Perfect,
I need to.
perfect game, perfect amount of time. I think it was a decent price. Like it was all around a spooktacular time. So I feel like this is the spooky season. So if great example. And I want to throw that out there. That would have been one that would have been perfect to review because I could have played it twice. I think that's why I don't review things. I want to play through it as much as I can, and then maybe even go through it one more time. That's so hard.
Yeah, when
I
you're a
can't do that.
reviewer, like when you were you're doing professional reviews, either for websites or outlets, or if you're doing it for YouTube, regardless of how you're doing it, you have to approach it from a different mindset than someone who's gaming. Like I get a lot of people saying like, "Oh, why do you complain about being tired or being burnt out? Because you get to do, you're playing video games. What's hard about that?"
Yeah.
That's a lot. Like if I'm playing it for fun, like occasionally the games that I will, if I do get a free time, I play Ultimate Double Dragon, which is a game that I helped, and it's not out yet. It was supposed to have been out months ago, but I'm helping with the development of that. It's a fan game, with some of the original team that created Double Dragon. I play that all the time because that's one of my favorite beat 'em ups. I love that. But if I was reviewing it, I'd have to look at it so critically. I had to look for all the imperfections, all the upsides. I'd had to have like I had one near me, like a notepad to write everything down. Like, okay, it's kind of like QA testing in a way, but when you look at reviewing.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it from a very critical journalistic perspective. And it's draining sometimes. Like you don't really get to enjoy it as you want to, like if you can just, because every time I play something, I have to sit here at this desk and make sure I'm recording it. So I oftentimes, like I'll go out, even say like I complete recording, was it Assassin's Creed Mirage, short game, 20 hours, right? I had it on my ROG Ally. I was sitting out there in the living room and I was playing it, and then the anxiety hit me like, oh crap, I should be recording this. That's something
Mm,
you don't hear that a lot publicly, but when you talk to creators behind the scenes, there is that level of anxiety where you can't really relax, because if you're
yeah.
playing something, you might need to be recording it because you don't know if you're going to need that B-roll footage or not. Maybe if you write a script, a lot of people like,
Yeah.
oh, reviewers don't write scripts, reviewers do write scripts. You have to, because they're, then also some companies want you to mention specific things to highlight that. And not like they're
Yeah.
trying to tell you like you have to say this and that, but they want you, like Ubisoft, for example, with Assassin's Creed Mirage. There were certain key points that they wanted either shown, or you had to mention in your review, as like to let the viewer or the reader, whoever, know what differentiates Mirage from Valhalla, right? So you also have to take that into consideration. I know people like to say, "Oh, you get paid by these companies." Is it all right if I break that down a little bit more? Because
Let's do it.
that's a that's the most annoying misconception, because if I'm getting paid, where are the checks? I need the checks. I checked my bank account. It's not in there. Where is it? Okay. So, all right. FTC. If you live in the United States, there are FTC regulations that if you receive something for review, and I think you've experienced that
Mhm.
too with companies and products that have sent you stuff, you are
Yep.
legally, federally required to disclose that a company sent you something. And you typically have to use that. If you make a social media promotion, you have to do hashtag ad or sponsored. There is a whole FTC, like a subsection for influencers, reviewers, and such, that you are federally required. If you don't do that with certain companies like Sony, or PlayStation rather, man, I they will be so far up your butthole. They'll be tickling your nose like, "Hey, um, where,
That
where?"
terrifies me
Yeah.
so bad. It's okay. You're it's, like, serious, and then you had to say that. No, okay. Well,
I'd be like,
the
so,
yeah.
where is that at? So yeah,
There's rules. People don't realize when you're doing
no,
all this stuff, you still have rules, which is, at the end of the day, good. I could throw out a
yeah,
bunch of different examples. Prime, like, I'm not gonna go too much into that, but they Jake Paul, like, people that you might not wanna support, you don't, or, right, they go and partner with other people, and there's just a lot of
mhm.
reasons, I think that it's good. Um,
Yeah.
but people do give too much crap. Like if you put sponsorship on there, holy crap, you can also get a lot of flack. It's like, oh, you're sold out.
Yeah. You get that all the time, and then people will try to say you're paid. Like going back to that, like people, I get that all the time. Like, when I review this controller, like, oh, Razer paid me to review the Wolverine V2, or Vitrix paid me to do the damn, that's dusty. I haven't used that in a while. But
Oh no.
but you know,
How did
but
that review go? No, I'm just kidding. Just
I
kidding.
But like you get that all the time where people say you're paid, and I look at that and I'm like, I have done paid stuff. Like I've had was it U Green, like when they sent me power stuff, like power strips and cables and whatnot. But that's a paid ad integration, which paid integrations are a very real thing. Like a company will approach you, say, hey, what is your rate, or what are your fees if we
Yep.
want to do like anywhere from like a 30-second to maybe a 3-minute ad that we can input into your video, usually within the first 5 minutes of your video, either at the very beginning, or you do like Bob Wolf, who like integrates easily into it. Like, well, yeah, his stuff's pretty funny. But like
Yeah.
that's something. Like if you want to say, hey, you're paid, yeah, then you'll see, and I'll mention like, yeah, they're sponsoring the video because they are. Like that's a very real thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's the only thing I would say is I don't take any type of sponsorships or payments if it's a product that you don't personally align with. Like
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
compromise yourself in that sense. But like Ugrain sending me stuff, I need power strips anyway. They're gonna pay me, and all I gotta do is throw it in a video that probably will go for
Yep.
like however long. Yeah, of course, man. That could be that could be money for a rainy day. That could be diapers. That could be food. You never know, and especially
Green
with
was yeah, that was
how
a I even had some stuff with him. I have a ton of power strips. I loved it.
right. Like, and there are times when that stuff really comes through in really good time, like, and you never know, like, and sometimes they'll go in your spam folder if you get those type of email. I have to manually make sure I go through and read my spams, because there's a lot of stuff that goes directly into that.
I
But
have
like
missed some
as far as like,
sponsorships because of that.
right, so like, but when people say like with game companies or with certain like getting reviews or they're paid, these companies, one, legally cannot pay you at all. And if it is happening, it ain't happening at a lot of the big companies. And I'm saying, from I've been in this for almost a decade. I'm literally 2 years shy of doing this professionally. And yeah, they can't pay you unless it's a paid integration of an ad, which that's a whole separate category. So I just really wanted to like dispel that, because I get that all the time, and I'm just like, man, where it at? I got bills coming up. Hulu need to get paid. Netflix just the price
They're
of
upping the
Netflix has
price
gone
soon.
up.
They're upping the
Yeah, I'm
price
like,
soon, and
yo,
that,
I
live action adaptation of, One Piece is really good. I wanna see the next season.
oh, dude, it is so good. Yeah, like, so it's like for that type of stuff, like, hey, I'll take a paid integration, but anything else, no. If you see ad or sponsored, it's because legally required to put that in there.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, from the business aspect of it too, like, do you want me to go into like revenue ways, or
Yeah,
like,
well, no, we're gonna go into as much as we need to, but I do wanna hit on, it was oh, man, I had a good tie-in to earlier. Um, but yeah, going into, like, the pay like, that's probably the biggest misconception that people get is
mhm.
that, "Oh, you're getting paid to do reviews," or, "Hey, they're gonna pay you to do a perfect 10," or something like that. And, yeah, I don't know a lot of people that are, getting paid and saying only, not fully their full mind on things, but they also will say, you know, that this is sponsored and you got to pay the bills. People forget that unless the viewer is going to pay the bill, which they complain about ads. So if you're going to be if you complain about ads and you watch people and you don't pay for the Patreon, then you can shut up. Like I can get pretty mean about this. I really will try not to. But if you uh hate on sponsorships, if you hate on ads and you don't pay for the content you're consuming, you can just shut up. Like you have zero honestly, no, I'm telling you, shut up. Like you have zero reason to be talking right now. Um, at the bare minimum, you can give a view, which is nice. Just leave it at that. You don't need to say anything in the comments or anything like that. I just see so many people complain about ads on YouTube, and I get it. I wish they were better, but at the same time, people got to eat, and so
Hmm.
um, if you like your content
And,
creators,
and
then
add,
yeah,
adding
sorry, go
on
for it.
to that, let me no, I just want to piggyback on that. Um, for you, the viewer, you have no idea how much goes into making the video or whatever content that you're enjoying. It's not boom, it's done, or I hit record like we're doing this podcast now, and that's it. There's so much that goes into it. We got to make sure our equipment's working, all our updates on our computers is going. If we got kids, make sure they're settled or with their partners or whatever. Then we got to worry about thumbnails. Uh,
Thumbnails
what
is a big
hashtag?
one. Good
Yeah, because
title,
that.
and like with a podcast, you just think, "Oh yeah, yeah, James only comes on, doesn't do any research, doesn't have any talking points," which I'm not gonna say anything about that. I'm not gonna say anything about that this time because I might not, but
Wait, wait, wait. People say that? People said
no,
that? Who said it? I roll up on them.
no, no one says that. I'm going somewhere with this. No, but, you have to play games, you have to keep up on industry, like, it's not like if you're doing a review, yes, you're gonna be consuming that game. You have to really write down a lot of notes. Then you do your
Mhm,
script or however way you do it. My reviews are a little bit more loosey goosey scripts, but even with a podcast where it's very, it could go any way. Obviously, it can go very different ways with the way me and Mikkel talk about things. Who knows? I do still have some talking points typically, and I usually have some directions. But if we don't consume the games, if we don't consume the news, we don't keep up on a lot of things, we're not going to provide very interesting insights, I don't think, right?
no,
And so
I
there,
fully have 100, yeah.
yeah. That being said, there's a lot of people that watch our content that do keep up with that stuff, and I'm very impressed. And they're not even content creators. And so like that's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast in this way is that, hey, I think anyone can become a content creator in one way or another, especially like no face, and no name channels are becoming popular. There's a lot of different things
Mhm.
that you can do it. Even if you don't have, let's say, a good voice, whatever else, like you could find someone to record it. Like if you're good at script writing, if you're good at whatever, there's so many different ways and different areas for people to do this type of thing, even if it's for a hobby, which mine kind of started out more as a hobby or like to get a following to help with a video game. That's, it's fun. It can be really fun, but it's very much a business, like you've talked about. Like when you need to get paid, when you need to eat, when you want to be successful, a lot like you can't hire editors or hire anyone else for free. It's just not how it works. Even though, and you'll see it as a toxic thing when me and Mikhail were talking about this earlier. You'll see some content creators do this, see some people take advantage, and there's a lot of people that have been called out for it, and that's fine. Like if you're, it depends on what stage you're at. Like if someone's just learning how to do stuff and they just want to do it for free for exposure, that's fine, or to learn. I think that's okay. It just depends. If you've been doing it for years and then companies come to you, because this is 101 freelancing kind of stuff. If you're
Mhm.
if you're an expert in your field, you don't do it for free. If you're doing it for free, you're kind of screwing up and kind of missing out on money that could help benefit your life,
Mhm.
enrich your life. I don't, I'm against. I might get flack for this. I'm against billionaires, but I don't, millionaires, whatever it is. Like as long as you're producing good content, I think you deserved a paycheck. Depending, it just of course depends on what some things, I think are a little shady to do, but we don't need to get into that. It's just, yeah, like I know this is a really weird podcast episode, and it's one that want to cover like the business side of things, but also like why do content creators spend so much time on this sponsorships, on all these other things, and wanting to get paid and not eat ramen noodles the rest of your life? But I guess that's my little tangent. We can pop back on to what you wanted to talk about a little earlier.
No, well, it's interesting. Like I actually saw. So I'm going to be very politically correct with this because I'm not going to name this person's name. I have personally worked with them. They have screwed me over and they owe me thousands of dollars. But anyways, so they put out a tweet today saying how unviable content creating is and how they wouldn't recommend it to anyone because they were a YouTube partner for 6+ years, a Twitch partner. They were a stream coach, which that was a big freaking scam. A lot of people got scammed out of
Oh
that.
yeah.
Um, if I say stream coach, you probably know who I'm talking about. Anyways, so yeah, uh, when I see people say the viability of it and how it's not really something that's viable or people should just like do a regular job, my thing is you look at entrepreneurship, right? We didn't have jobs the way they are or they have been for roughly the last 100 years or so with that level of consistency. You know, you go to school, you get your education, you go do a trade, or you go into a career field, get your 401k, whatever, right? Before
Yeah.
it was you had,
That's
you
a
know,
very that's a very
you
sketch thing nowadays. Even they're trying to get rid of 401ks.
right,
I could go
right,
really heavy
but
into
like,
like the destruction of the normal job nowadays. But yeah, continue. Sorry.
but you know, but you know, like no, I keep baiting you with that too.
Oh, I'm so easy to bait with so many different topics that affect me directly.
But you know how like you know like now or at least a semblance of it now like for the last 100 years or so we've had jobs careers before that we had people who were entrepreneurs they weren't part of you know chains and whatnot people actually went out had a trade a craft and they lived off of that what's different about content creating it's entrepreneurship it's marketing
Oh
it's
yeah,
having a specialty of something you know maybe you the viewer may laugh at someone doing ASMR but if they're getting paid doing it they're getting paid for it it's
there's
a
demand.
form
That's how
right
entrepreneurship, how business works. There's demand. There's a lot of demand for social media, for influencers, for content creators, whatever you want to be considered. There's a lot of demand. I know people make fun, but sometimes people are also jealous. Whatever it is, um,
yeah
it's yeah. But content creating is definitely not easy, but it has a lot of
no
benefits and downsides to it, just like any other job.
yeah yeah like it and what I like to tell people is like if there's a bucket list that you have things you'd like to do before you know you kick the bucket if there's like there are things I've always wanted to do when I was a kid growing up. Like you and I are roughly around we're around the same age. We grew up the same, you know,
Yeah, or like
'90s,
45.
2000. Right.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Uh,
Just kidding.
wait, it's like wait, no, but I mean, 10 years off from that. But anyways, like you know, we grew up in a time where if we wanted to get into reviewing games or talking about tech professionally, there was no roadmap. There was no easily accessible way to do it. But now there is. There's YouTube.
Mhm.
There's Twitch. There's I mean, Kick, if you want to go down that route. There's all these different avenues and TikTok that, you know, having blogs and stuff there's so many ways for people to make money now that they don't have to rely upon the stable, technically unstable jobs. There's just options. And so for us, when we were kids, we had the passion for gaming, the passion for tech, but we didn't know how to do it. And if you talk to someone back in the 90s or early 2000s, they laugh at you and say it's impossible. You can't do it. But like now, anyone can do it. You can easily do it. Is it going to be easy to like make a living off of it? No. there's you got to pay the dues. You got to do, you got to pay your dues. You got to work hard. It's like anything else. People think, oh, if you work for yourself, you're not working for anyone else. No, when you're working for yourself, you're not only working for you, but you're working for everyone who consumes the content or service that you
Yeah.
provide.
I
And
think
that
people
right
get
there,
stuck in ruts though in that
yeah.
sometimes. Because I've done freelance and entrepreneurship in software, and now in games and YouTube and all. I've done freelancing a couple different ways, and I think people get stuck in the um, oh well, it's gonna be easy or it's gonna be too hard. Well, yeah, any like your barrier of entry is very important with all this. Like,
Mhm.
and hopefully I didn't cut you off at a bad time to mention this, but like
No,
the barrier of entry is very much low when it comes to content creating. So you really have to put
yeah.
the effort in up front. So you like for me with the games revealed, I was like, okay, for the next until I hit a certain amount, I'm going to be doing videos every day. Now, some of those videos didn't turn out to be the world's best because I can you can only research, especially if you're working full time, and do some of them were really good, some of them were they were good, they were okay, they were mediocre. I'll be the first to admit, but it's still like people were interested in that. It was really good.
Mhm.
Um, you got to break in somehow. Now that being said, I have a different path I'm kind of taking. I'm still doing the podcast. I'm still doing some videos, but you haven't noticed I haven't been doing daily videos like I did a year ago. I have other paths I'm going down, and that is
Mhm.
more down the route of game development, which I've always been doing for the past few years, but I really want to put more of my time into that. And then I'm going to be making more YouTube content around that too. So that'll be fun. But
Mhm.
that's neither, I could talk about that later or maybe in the bonus level. But yeah, so before I rudely interrupted, um, the barrier to entry is definitely, you have to put the time in with this type of stuff. I think anything you have to
Yeah.
put time into it.
Yeah. And I would say like what we saw with the pandemic when it first hit and people had to be stuck at home, that barrier of entry, there was no barrier. People had nothing else to do. So
True.
if you were doing well before that, now you got competition. I know there are people that say like, "Oh, there's no competition in content creating." There's always competition. There's yourself and everyone else, but you're not competing in a sense of like, "Oh, if they're doing something that keeps you from doing something." No, it's you're competing for viewership.
Yep.
So if
There's
you've got,
only so many people that can, and I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off again,
no,
but
no,
just real
no,
quick, there's only so many people that are out there. Let's say,
yeah,
I don't even know how many hundreds of millions of people are on YouTube, but you're going to compete for their time, and that's about
hmm
it. And you'd be surprised sometimes if you release good enough content, they'll come around eventually. But yeah,
yeah, and then you have to deal with like brand loyalty, which is something a lot of people don't talk about. But there are
yes,
people that are brand loyal. Like as an example, our friend Jarrett from Avalanche Reviews, he's got very loyal fan base. Love the
yes,
guy. His fan base is very loyal. If someone else were to come up and do content very similar to his, some of his audience might check it out, but they're not going to just jump ship because they're loyal to that brand, his content, his business, because they
it's
like him.
parasocial to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
yeah, brand loyalty, parasocial, or just like having a common interest and following
Yeah.
someone that's leading the way on making content that they enjoy.
Yeah. And it's the other aspect of doing this as a career is you have to look at it, you have to play the long game. Like if you want to
Hmm.
do this as a hobby, yeah, do whatever you want to do. But if you want to do it as a career or potentially make some income, like couple $100 a month, pay a bill or something, you're gonna have to get into branding. And I know I
Yep.
have been very critical over the last year, sometimes rude about it, but people who brand themselves based on a product, you're putting yourself in a hole. And I'm not targeting this at anyone. You can say Steam Deck creators or Nintendo Switch, whatever.
No,
You
we
have
all know who you're
to,
talking about. You're talking about me and just covering a Steam Deck all the time. We know. We know. You don't have to tell
Oh,
us.
no, 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 no.
Just kidding. No, there's a reason why people haven't seen me do as much Steam Deck content, and it's because of exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's brand and because what a lot of people don't realize is you can actually box yourself out of opportunities, paid
Yeah.
opportunities, big sponsorships, big brand cross promotion. Like in a sense of as an example, right? So I'm now partnered with Steel Series. I before they sent me anything, I've never used a Steel Series product ever. I was doing stuff with Turtle Beach Rocket, which I've told you personally about how that whole situation went. But
Yeah.
Turtle Beach Rocket, and Neat Microphones were taking care of me for years. They were, I still have love for them. But I was like, kind of in the sense of like their products, they sent it to me. I really like it. I don't think anything's better. Steel Series, the PR guy, shout out to Paul. Paul hit me. He hit me up brand like months ago. He's like, "Hey, I saw that review you did. It was good. We got something better. Can we send it to you?"
Nice.
And if I was like to the point of like if I did the fanboy or just branded myself only on Turtle Beach or Rocket or anything, I probably wouldn't get that opportunity. Now, because they've sent me stuff and I'm over here like, man, y'all keep sending me stuff, and I've said that in my reviews. Keep sending me stuff that I'm in love with. Now and they like it regardless of viewership or whatever. They love what I do. They're like, hey, we want to partner with you. We got, which it came out
Do
now,
they
which is the hmm?
do they use some of your videos for promotional pieces and stuff like that? I know sometimes partners will do that.
I haven't. I'm actually, well, okay, I can't disclose that. We're in talks about that.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
We're in talks about that.
I've
But
you've had other
I
content
know,
with other partners that I know of and I've seen you in. So I know that that can happen. So
yeah. So
whether or
and
not like the
that's
review gets like amazing performance or everything, they still benefit from it. People don't realize that in a lot of ways.
free marketing. They don't.
Yep.
Okay, I'll add to that. Do, do you, the viewer, know how much companies spend on marketing? How much of a budget they have? They go to a marketing agency. They spend millions for. I
Marketing,
mean,
yeah.
I mean, look at the Super Bowl, which is a glorified commercial, regardless of the sport,
Yep.
regardless of the teams playing. You're there for the halftime show and the commercials. So millions are spent on that. For a company, and I've always said this, and I've always gotten pushback from people because they don't grasp the concept. What makes more sense if you're a business, especially now with this creator economy that we have now? What makes more sense to take millions and pay a company, a marketing agency, to promote your product on whatever platform they're using to get eyes on it, or sending a product to a creator who will do a video, who will use a
Yep.
hashtag that they can track, who will it's free advertising. And
Here's the
what
thing.
is it
Well,
to them
it's
to
not even
go
free.
ahead.
It's diversifying. They have a budget. They know that old world style advertising doesn't reach the eyes that they need to. They still do it sometimes. They still do it.
Yeah.
They're gonna break that up, and because companies are getting bigger and bigger, which that's a whole other thing, they have more marketing budgets. And so if you and especially like with you, Mikkel, you've had long-term partners. When you have a good established partner, it means a lot to them. That's why they're starting to go after what is influencers, people that are
Hmm.
below 10,000. They'll even reach out to you and try to start building a relationship. Um, I've had opportunities with that. They just didn't line up with me. It's pretty cool. So if you're getting into this, if you want to be a content creator or an influencer, I think influencers get too much crap. It's just because there's those garbage influencers that really just promote horrible things of pranking people. I mean, it's pretty bad when you get into like a subreddit and everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm glad that guy got shot," and like that's brutal. Like, I don't think
Yes,
he deserved
yeah.
that, but like, stop pranking people in horrible ways. But you know, doing this type of stuff can be fun. Like for me, I like doing hardware reviews. Are they stressful? Yes. They're not the same as a game review though. Like Steel Series is a good series. I like games I thoroughly enjoy. I love stories. I
I
want to take my time
swear
on.
by
Yeah,
it.
there you go. No, they are. They're really good. I don't own a Steel Series thing right now, but I have, and I've liked them. Right now I have the 8-bit do,
I'm
whatever
s-
it's called,
I'm so jealous of you.
retro keyboard, which hopefully I don't rip anything out in the process. This thing's awesome. It comes with little bongos, big buttons, and
I'm hating
I
right
love.
now. I'm hating on you.
I love it,
You know why?
and yeah, I know. Sometimes it's hard to get things. I didn't even give this is just I bought it. It took an extra month. But let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. You can ask me on stream if sometime for boring stories. So yeah, it's hardware for me is fun to review in that I can use it a bunch. I can dissect it. I can kind of analyze it. But I don't have to sit there and like consume it for 20 hours, 30 hours. I mean, oftentimes I will play with it for a while, but it's in the afterthought and I'll write notes. And it just seems so much easier. A lot of hardware games, man, it's a lot harder. And people don't realize this. And the game industry is so flooded. The hardware industry, like the gaming hardware industry, is a little less because the barrier to entry is you have to buy shit in the beginning. You have to buy
Yeah.
stuff, you have to own stuff. Yeah, you can do a good review on something that's 2 years old, that's fine, and people will come and watch it. Oh, it's so much harder. Like the Legion Go, I don't even have it reserved yet. I need to get it.
Yeah,
And I
I pre-ordered that, and I'm kind of now just sitting on the fence of like, do I really want it? I do
oh
for
yeah.
certain things, the trackpad, the size, you know, a lot of it, but I'm like, I'm pretty content with the Ally. And it just, you get to a point, and I know like we've had conversations like that before where it's like, I'm content, but I also know as a content creator, I have to make content on certain things. And
Yep.
it's like that becomes the part where that
That's a
can
good
create
mentality to have.
anxiety. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
good
it
mentality to
is.
have because yeah, gotta treat it like a job. If you're
Yeah.
expecting this not to be a job, unless you're a certain type of content creator, which I think some of them exist where they have certain types of content. But if you're in the games world, it's very competitive and it's a job. People don't realize that.
It's, yeah. Especially with news cycles. Like, okay. As a perfect
Oh,
example, ooh,
yeah.
as a perfect example. So you remember when we got the pro controllers for the PlayStation 5. So
Yep.
the first one out was the Victrix Pro BFG. That was the first one out. I had it 3 months before anyone else. I was one of the first ones to put a video out, put a review. Still to this day, those videos, those shorts, thousands of views. I was the first one to get that out because people wanted to know. Then the next controller to come out was this, which Razer promised me that they were going to send this. And look, Razer has gone through a lot of changes with people who are in there, but they promised me that they were going to send me that back when it was announced. They did. I got this literally a couple weeks ago. Guess how that video is doing? Not doing well because no one cares about it because one
You're not
person
the first. Yeah.
gave. I'm
Well,
not the
you're
first,
some of the
but
first. Yeah.
one of the most prominent in the controller sphere, Gamer Heaven, did a video and for all intents and purposes, shat on it. And that's the reputation that has carried. Then the other controller came out was the one from PlayStation themselves, which they sent me that. I did my review on it. That one still does well. I was one of the first ones to put it out. The reason I'm bringing these up is because timing matters. If you want to do
Yep.
this, like you said, you have to treat it like a job. You have to be timely on it, and that can be stressful. That can be tiring. they're going to be topics you don't want to talk about. But if you're in that sphere, the audience wants to know. At this point, nobody cares about this controller, which I love using this controller. Nobody cares about it because here we are 9 months later. Who cares? No, it's the most expensive Pro controller out there. It lacks a lot of features, and you have to use a phone app to map it. That's
Oh,
stupid.
I don't think
That's
I knew that.
stupid. Yeah,
Huh.
that's stupid. And I told Razer that. I told it. That was stupid. Anyway, I have projects lined up with them right now, so I'm going to leave it at
We
that.
don't need to
But
go
the
hard on that.
but the
They
one
have
thing I
such good
do
aesthetics, though. I have to
they
admit, they have
do.
such good aesthetics. I love their aesthetics.
But one thing I do, because I don't know where we're gonna go with the next topic or the conversation right now, but I want to throw this out there. There was something that was there was a tweet put out, and I think you may have liked it as well. But basically, the gist of the gist of the tweet was that as influencers or content creators, you need to know your value. And when a company says that they want to partner with you, you need to understand that there are different types of partnerships. If you're getting paid or you're getting products sent to you, that's a great. You want to keep those. Those are great. Sponsorships, partnerships, however you have it. When a company gives
Yeah.
you an affiliate code to buy their product at a discount, I will tell you this now. Do not waste your time. Your time as a content creator is too valuable to be giving a company money to get their product to make content on it. Unless you really,
Yeah.
really want to, do not get like W Energy. That's the one that was making the rounds
There's a
recently.
couple of energy ones that are doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, or you're a partner. You know what's funny is they approached me about partnership, and it was like, oh, you can get 15% off. I'm like, you can take your 15% and shove it because that's not a partnership. That's not a sponsorship. That's not a brand deal. That's an affiliate thing. And affiliate marketing, there's
Yeah.
a lot of companies that are very predatory with that. If you're a content creator, unless you really love that brand, do not deal with affiliates. And honestly,
I
I'll say
I will have
this.
to say
Uh,
I have done affiliates because I do like it. Like Bones Coffee, I have some videos where I just have an affiliate code. I reached out to them to get it because I loved
Bones,
it.
it's really good.
I
It's
like
really
Bones
good
Coffee,
coffee.
and so I'm like, I gotta do it. Yeah,
Even
I'm
with
just pointing that
like,
out. If there's someone that you like a lot and you want to point it out and you feel like you can sell it and you can get some money from that, why not? Like if you're gonna have a
yeah,
beneficial, but yeah, if people are reaching out like, hey, we got this thing, you can get 5% if people buy it. Well, and you don't know what it's about and you don't have the product, the likelihood of you selling much on that is probably pretty low.
hmm yeah, and basically with it becomes a pyramid scheme. They want to get you in,
Yeah.
you give them money, then you get other people. It's literally a pyramid scheme, and like as an example of a partnership that isn't that way. I'm an Aver Media partner. I've been with Aver Media. I'm the first Hawaii Aver Media partner. I'm the first Hawaiian Samoan Aver Media partner, and the
Nice.
first podcaster that they've ever had partnered. And I get products and I fairly review them. If there's something about it I don't like, I put that in review. I also work with them on R&D. So I do promote their products because as a partner, duh, you kind of have to. But I promote the products that I personally use, like the Aver Media this thing. I promote this because this is what I'm actually using now for my audio interface. I promote that.
Nice.
I have an affiliate code that you use, you get a discount, I get a kickback. That's a fair partnership because they're providing me with expensive equipment for free with the
They provide
obligation
with
of
it. Yeah. And I'm a partner
yeah.
with them too. And it's not fully like flushed out,
Well,
but I am a partner with them.
I didn't know if you wanted to say that or not. That's why I was like
Yeah, I'm
tiptoeing.
not going to, this is not anything too official, but yeah, I mean, I have their stuff. I'm going to be, yeah. So with that, we don't need to go down that, but it is pretty cool. It is pretty nice to get stuff. to use on a daily basis to do reviews to get hardware. Those are like the types of things that you need to go after is partnerships, companies,
Mhm.
and just getting something from them is a great start. Obviously, though, if you're going to be working heavily with them, you probably want to try to get it paid, but it takes a lot of finessing and selling yourself, which is a whole other skill set that people might not be used to.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and trust,
yeah,
trust, build equity.
trust.
You need to trust, build equity, make great content, be reliable, which goes back into trust. Because if a company, again, off media as an example, I've been with them for years. They when a new product comes out, they do come to me because regardless of whether it's the new team, like since you joined, there's a new team. The
Yeah.
team that was there when I first got in, the guy who pulled me in now oversees all the Assassin's Creed. He left Favor Media and went to Christopher
Mm,
Huston. He went over to Ubisoft. He oversees all the PR and stuff for Assassin's Creed. That was his dream. So when I got in, I did stuff. He's like, whenever he needed to talk to HQ, he's like, "Oh, Mikhail's reliable." And then when it came down from him to Andy and all the other people, they're like, "Oh, we know we can go to him. We know he's going to do it. He doesn't give us pushback or anything like that." I have trust and equity with them. So when you have that with companies, you get opportunities. You can be paid. You can be all this other stuff, and that's great. But when a company cold reaches out to you, a partnership, and then you're spending money, you're not really getting anything out of it, then no. I would say unless you care about that company, don't bother with it. Or here's another one. A company sends you can I yeah, I can pull this out. I'll give you a little example of something I'm working on, right? So Kamarui, this right here. This is a Windows PC. I've had this for a month and a half. They sent it to me and they said, "Hey, do a review on it. I'll send it to you. Take your time. All this other stuff." Great. Explain to me why this company is hounding me every single day. I haven't put the review out, but I also told them what my workload was and the expectation of when I can get to it. I have my B-roll. I've got my script. I've got everything I need to do, which is I'll be working on it tonight. But when a company isn't paying you, they're also not going to promote it. I'll get to it when I get to it.
yeah. And that's pretty common, especially once you have a lot on your plate and people, and as long as you're upfront, I think companies that do this a lot understand that from understanding. But yeah, it's oh, it can be
Oh,
stressful. I
oh,
I
gaming
don't
tech
envy how
companies.
many reviews that you have to get out, Mikkel. You have so many. And
Oh,
so
this company is hounding me right now because they Ewan Racing because they love the review I did for their this chair that I'm sitting in now. But here's the
mhm.
problem is they want me to pay the shipping to get the chair and I'm like the shipping is the cost of a chair. Why would
Oh
I do a
yeah.
video? Why would I do that? They're like, "Well, we want to partner with you." That's not a partnership. Well, we're covering the cost of the chair. You're just covering the shipping. Then I can just go to Home Depot. I have it. I don't need to buy another chair. So if a
I need another
company,
chair. Anyone that's watching that wants to sponsor me or wants to partner with me, just for a chair. I just need a chair. No,
it's a great
there's a
chair,
couple. I
great chair. Go ahead.
oh no, it's one that I'm in talks with one company potentially, and I'm like, chair review it, sure. I need a new chair.
And
Um,
that's one of the great things. Like, hey, when it works out like that, nothing wrong with that. When they want you to pay for it, mm,
yep. Shipping alone is a little bit of a tell, in my opinion, even where it's like, wait, yeah, well, you paid for the chair, but not the shipping. That's still I have to pay something.
hmm
Um, and if you're not paying
and
me anything else, I could still lose out on this deal. Like chairs are nice and all, But if I don't make any, we don't need to get into review stuff on that or views. But yeah, so let's move on a little bit into
Or they want to tell
the
you what
realm.
to put in it, or they want to tell you what you can
Oh
and
yeah,
can't say. There's that too.
the
It's like,
worst ones.
no.
Yeah, the worst ones are that type. I've even had that where it's like, even if they give you the hardware, that's nice and all, but do, have some trust in your hardware. If you don't think it's going to do well, don't tell me what to say fully. Like they can say like, "Oh, we just want to make sure these features are highlighted." That's fine,
Hmm.
but don't say, yeah, this has to be a glowing review. It's like, yeah, I think that's the problem. Is that in some companies I feel like might okay, okay. Let's move on. Um, it's interesting because okay, so we've talked about the influencer slash content creator about a bunch of different topics getting into it. People don't realize the business side though. The business side of having to have a maybe pay an accountant or do your own taxes when you're a W 9, when you're a contractor with a lot of these companies, you have to save up money, pay for that. People don't realize this.
Oh yeah,
If
we
you've
don't pay
done a
taxes. Remember?
oh, we don't. Well, maybe
No,
not where
I
you're
get,
from in
I get,
Hawaii, but
I get told that all the time. You don't pay taxes. You don't have. Really, I
who
pay
says
more
that?
taxes than you.
Well, that's because you're in
Oh
Hawaii, but
man.
um, no, but it's one of those things people forget, and this is the number one thing. If you're going to do anything for yourself, if you're starting a business, whatever it is, set aside at least 25 to 30% for taxes, or pay your quarterly taxes. I'm really bad at doing quarterly. I do yearly, but typically you'd want to set up like an LLC. It's my
Hmm.
recommendation. There's a lot of content on all this, but I'll just give the short, dirty version of it. Set up an LLC of either your name or a brand that you want to be associated with, and make sure that you're setting aside money for it.
Hmm.
There's two different types of LLCs. There's two, well, or an S corp, but I'm not going to get into corporations or anything like that. But there's a lot of ways to do this.
Hmm.
Sometimes some of them make sense if you have a partner. So if you are going in with someone else, setting this type of stuff up is really important. It protects relationships. It protects a lot of different things. You want to set aside some money, and then if you don't like, you have write-offs, so you want to make sure when you buy stuff you write it off, keep the receipt. You want to write this off. That will help you because it's a business expense.
Hmm.
When you go to pay for your taxes, the reason why you want to save up more than maybe you need, then you that's where your tax return comes from, like in the sense of like, oh hey, there's a little bit extra I didn't have to pay. That's awesome. That's
Hmm.
the best advice I could give. I definitely have to admit I'm not the best at that myself. I do save money, but like I pay a yearly when it's best to pay quarterly, depending on what type of corporation you're set up as, or if you're, well, not corporation, but business you're set up as. Um, and that's one I think people like. That's one that people always forget, and then tax season comes along and they get screwed. And if you're making some pretty good deals early on, there's been a lot of people that have been screwed about this. So if you, let's say you are making a lot of money, say you make $100,000, you're like really good at promoting the Steam Deck. You make $100,000 the first year, which is ridiculous, obviously, but especially with Steam Deck, but because there's no partnerships and stuff like that, really. I think that what are going to be that lucrative. But as an example, if you just saved $25,000, you spent it all. You need to come up with $25,000 that you owe the IRS, or whatever, wherever you're at, whatever government or country you live in. You're going to owe your
Hmm.
government a certain amount of money. You're going to get a lot of trouble, and if you can't pay for it after a while, they're just going to stipend it, like, or they'll figure a way. They'll figure it away. They'll just say they get theirs. There's death and taxes, right? Um,
Hmm.
And so that's very important. And before you think, and I think mentality sake is also really important with this industry. Try to keep it a positive take in a lot of things can get you through a lot of rough patches too. Um,
Hmm.
I even struggle with that with the medical thing and all that. But like keeping a positive take can help get you through the hard stuff where you're like, "Oh, I didn't get any partnerships this month, or my views are down or something like that." You got to have the positivity um, going through all this. And with that, you need to have the positivity that taxes do go to something beneficial, in my opinion. People
Mhm.
oftentimes want to just complain, try to, screw them. They essentially screw themselves trying to cheat on taxes. It does go to something. I know it sucks, but let's try to just know that you're gonna have to do that and just have a positive take. Just realize, hey, I'm making 25% less than what I see. It's good. I think that's a good way to do it. Because then people they get I've seen too many people get hung up on taxes and they just stop doing stuff because of it. But yeah. No, I think we've covered kind of the dirty parts of the business side of things, unless you could think, I mean, marketing and but that's kind of what you're doing is a YouTube channel. Like you really, if you're doing YouTube, that is, you got to then make sure you have good titles and thumbnails and all that if you want. But
Yeah.
um
And also understanding that the YouTube algorithm constantly changes, and it's frustrating when they
yeah.
implement new things, like when they did shorts, how that screwed up so many of us with long form videos, and how now we have to pivot towards doing shorts. And it's annoying, but you if you really want to stay in this, like I said, long term, the long game, yeah, you're gonna have to do shorts. You're gonna have to do whatever YouTube implements, because that is what's going to keep traffic going to you. It's just the way it
Trends,
is.
you gotta
Also,
follow trends. Yeah, and
yep,
well, you gotta think about it as, like, on-the-job training, like, when you work at other places, sometimes you gotta get training every year or 2, to make sure you keep up with standards, kinda how it
yep,
is here too.
yep. It's like Legion Go. That's coming up. That's going to be the big thing to talk about when that drops the end of this month. And us as tech creators, not Steam Deck creators, but tech creators, we're gonna have to do something with that. This is how it is.
Yeah,
I
it's I'm excited. I know, Mikhail, you're loving your ally so much.
I am, bro. I got so many people mad at me back when I was like, "Yeah, I know it's got these issues. It's a failed product." Okay,
Yeah,
I'm still
people are
having
really
fun with
quick
it.
to, like, yeah, people are so quick to judge things. I knew it was gonna be a decent product when I first heard Dave 2D talk about it. I'm like, okay, I know this is going to be successful. Is it going to be more successful in a Steam Deck? Probably not, but it's a good device.
Hmm.
And people are probably not going to like my review of it because I use it a lot more than my Steam Deck nowadays, as I don't have to worry about playing games and knowing that it will play the game or not. Like this year alone, I'm playing Starfield.
How how dare you say that?
I know it seems like such a horrible thing to say, but people get mad at that type of thing where they're like, "No, I can tweak my thing and I can play." I'm like, "That's my whole problem." I started to hate making tutorials on the Steam Deck because I shouldn't have to make these tutorials. That's why I made the Revealed project, and I still need to get that wrapped up. So I'm a little bitter on that. But like, I was making all those tutorials. This shouldn't be this hard. This should I could write a script. Yes, it takes a little bit of time, but ah, besides the point. Besides the point. I like the Steam Deck. I like it a lot. I think it's a perfect console-like experience. They're not refreshing it to the Z1 Extreme, and you gotta have these hard takes sometimes as a content creator. I'm gonna wrap this back in. You gotta have hard takes. You can't be. I can sometimes be milk toast. I like to take the side of positivity, but sometimes you gotta say the harsh truths, and sometimes get hate for it. You're gonna get bad comments. You're gonna have people mad at you. You're gonna have you're gonna upset the apple cart sometimes, and in some of those cases you can really grow as a creator in a lot of different ways. You gotta really have that thick skin. I think people forget about that. um I
Oh
don't
yeah,
like contra I
yeah.
don't like being I don't like what is it, I just don't like controversy. Or no, I do like controversy, I just don't like people being mad at me. I like to
Unnecessary
please
con.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
like
exactly. I
going back
want
to what you were saying about like the thick skin, having people that will come to your comment section saying some of the dumbest shit ever, just or attacking you for something that's not even that serious, and they don't know when to let it go. Like I constantly get comments on Elix too. I did the short talking about the graphics. It was a joke. And I've said it many times. The game is good, it's flawed. I'm friends with the developers and creators of that game. I told them the joke I was gonna make. They said do it. They were all for it. And yet people still every single day want to attack me because how dare I say something bad about it? But you have to have thick skin. If I didn't have thick skin, that would get to me. I've gotten criticized. I mean, I'm probably going to get criticized because now I have twist curls when I was bald months, well, half a year ago. you know, like I get attacked so many different things: my look, the way I talk, how I
Oh,
pronounce things, where I'm
yeah, I
from,
could only
and it's just
imagine.
some of the most vile shit. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, I I some of it I've just gotten to a point where I filter out. Like I filter certain words so the comments just don't I don't even go look at the hidden comments anymore. I know I upset Steam Deck creators, but some of the criticisms I've had about, hey, this isn't the perfect everyone just needs a Steam Deck device. I was saying that for a while and upset people. I upset other creators, and then the fan base took it so personally, decked up. I don't know if I even shared that with you before. Like, Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, when I started being critical of the Steam Deck, and the creators they were just saying Steam Deck is perfect for everyone. When I upset people, that fan base started going to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and review bombing the show to the point where Spotify was like, did we keep sponsoring you or not? Of an opinion. People want to, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous. It's
it's
not
it's
that serious, guys.
it's not, and you can refer to our talk, like, because we talk about the toxic fandoms in a previous episode. I think I can't remember which one, but what episode it is, like number, but it has mekel in the name of it. You can go listen to that. Like, it really is, toxic fandoms are bad, and you're gonna have to deal with that. And uh so when you like, I don't do as much Steam Deck content because partially I'm not as interested. I like the Steam Deck and I do still do it. Um and I do think it's a really good device for a lot. Like, if you own a Steam Deck and it's working for you, perfect. Don't move to anything else. You're not going to be happier with an
Yeah.
ROG Ally. If you're feeling like, "Oh, okay, I have Dead Space, this is one of the systems I play the most on, and I want to play more of my games on it," then Steam Deck, it just isn't cutting it for 2023 games. ROG
Yeah.
Ally is, and Legion Go is going to be very interesting. And if you can't take criticism about your favorite topic, I think this is really good introspection for people. If you're going to go write an angry comment about this or anything, think inward. Oh, should I? You might need therapy. Let's just say that. If you're going to be doing that type of shit, I really don't think it's healthy. I know some people are like, well, I'm just shit posting online. I'm like, but can't you do something positive in your life or something?
Right.
Brings be nice to someone. There's constructive criticism. Do that. Like,
Yeah.
say why you think it's dumb. I like those types of people that disagree with me, but are constructive about it.
Hmm.
I take the like, you might be surprised. I actually will take it to heart some of the stuff you say and go and research, and you might change my mind. You're not going to change my mind if you're going to call me. I'm not going to say it because with that comment, but yeah, certain things. I don't get as much hate these days, but I think YouTube's done a little bit better with it. But it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and you're gonna especially when I first started, like, really picking up traction on some of my videos a year and whatever ago. I got a lot of hate early on, like what the way I talked, or if I was using beauty filter. I was just using my Sony thing. I don't even know how to use my camera perfect, and it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy what you'll, and I think that's honestly a really good. I just really wanted to shout that out, Mikel. So I'm sorry, I'm droning on. I
No,
just
go
wanted
no, go
to
ahead.
shout it out that it's really important to not get hung up in the beginning. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna suck. you're gonna learn to deal with it typically. Grow a little bit of a thick skin. People suck sometimes. But there's a, you know what
Yeah.
comes from it though? A lot of people that can be very nice in there for you. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah. And
it's
it's good to oh go ahead.
no, I
No, I was
you
just
go for it.
I was just gonna say like it's good to realize that it's okay to go outside and touch grass. Sometimes we need to do that. We need to like
Yeah,
I tell people that all the time. Like, hey, guess what? Get off your keyboard. Get out of your chair. Get off your phone. Go touch some grass. It's not that serious. We need anchors to reality. And I feel like a lot of
yeah.
people, especially the younger generation or people that
It's
are
the Steam Deck. I
possibly on their,
agree. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
you know,
kidding. It's the Steam Deck. That's their anchor.
yeah.
And you try to criticize it, you destroy their anchor. No, sorry, continue on. I had to make a joke and I cut you off.
Bro, I had this one spicy comment. This person was so mad at something I said about the Steam Deck, and they're like, "Well, this is why you'll never get PUSSY in life, and you'll forever be alone and never have a wife and have kids." And I'm like, I showed it to my wife. I was like, "Oh, that's very interesting." I said, "I'm like, you saw that? Really? Yeah,
No, that's sad because
yeah,
it's becoming that way nowadays though. That when people they say things, they do things that are like just to tell on themselves. It's
yeah."
really bad right now in a lot of the different aspects of the country, too, like the US,
Mm-hmm.
where someone's like, "This person's a pedophile," and you're like, "Okay, but are you now?" Like, I don't know, like, it just to put that into a whole other
Like,
aspect, like, if you're gonna shout stuff out, be careful because it might come back to bite you because you might be that thing. Uh, "Oh, you're gonna be a virgin the rest of your life." Well, I mean, when's the last time you had a date? Maybe go look in the mirror. I just have to throw that out there because it's getting worse and worse. Like, s- stop trying to launch insults and get one up on someone. Like, if they're happy at the end of the day, like, especially if you've been doing this long enough, like you, Miguel, like, even I've gotten a lot harder skin with things where it's just not going to hurt me. Like, you could try again, I guess, if you want. But if it's really over the top, like, I'm just going to laugh and I'll think it's kind of funny, but also, like, take a little bit of pity on you, which I'm sure you don't want. um, I mean, yeah. It's like I
Have
should
you
start doing those
had
comments.
instances like I was gonna ask, like, have you had instances where you have these people that are so angry and they lash out at you, and then you respond in the calmest way possible, like, "Hey, that was unnecessary. Why do you like?" I've been using that reverse psychology on people, and I get they apologize to me, and I'm like, "Hey, it's not that serious. I get you're passionate about it, but like, you could have taken a better approach. Not
I have
anything you say."
yeah, I have tried to go that way, and it works actually pretty well. And then there's just some people I'm just like, "F it, delete." I
Right?
just delete their comment because 'cause I'm
Right?
like, it's so hateful. It just only hurts other people that come in. They're like, "I don't," they don't wanna see crap like that. Most people want to have a good
Yeah.
day, in my opinion. Like, at least I do. That's what I wanna cultivate. That's another thing, is you gotta people don't aren't gonna agree with this. You gotta cultivate your community and your, comments. Don't let toxic people
Yeah.
destroy things. Um, delete
Yeah.
that shit, in my opinion. People don't like that, but if it's pretty bad, like constructive criticism, I let it be there. Go for it.
Mhm.
If it's just flat out, there's no worth to this comment, I'm gonna delete it. If it's like a negative
Mhm.
comment, I should start
You
doing
have
maybe
every
what you.
right to.
Well, I just don't. No one wants to see something like, dude, you don't know shit or something like that. Like, no one wants to see that. Who wants to see that? Like, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
something like that. Maybe I should respond with, "Are you okay, bro?" Like, I think maybe I'll start doing that because that'll be fun. Um, you okay, bro? Um, we need to talk about something. I mean, personally, if it makes their day better, I will do that. I just don't like the idea though that that's still there. And it's not even about me. It's about I don't like looking through other people's comments and they're getting hate. Like even Linus Tech Tips, yes, he has a lot of controversy on him right now. I don't want to go looking through the comments and seeing something about the topic of the video and just them like, dude, you're still a sellout or something like that. Some weird thing. And it's like I I know what you guys think of the guy. I don't need to read it when I'm wanting to know what you think about the video, not some stupid controversy, which I do think a lot of that LTT stuff is serious, but that's a different, go to Reddit and talk about it.
Context matters, people.
Yes.
Context matters.
Yes. Context is a really big deal. My wife talks about it all the time. She's a historian. A lot of historians talk about context. Get context, people. You got to start learning some context. Um, it's one of the reasons why the U.S. alone is having issues to get a little political, but bring it back into gaming um, context, like with the Steam Deck. If I'm going to tell you, like, I like the ROG Ally right now more for a lot of games, get some context. I still like the Steam Deck. I
Hmm.
still say a lot of good things about the Steam Deck. I still think most people should stick to the Steam Deck if you have one. But for the ones that maybe want to upgrade or interested, that's I'm going to give you my opinion. Uh,
No, I lost, and I'll be completely honest. I lost a good majority of my audience. Like my viewership tanked when I started saying how much I like the Li, regardless of the micro SD card issues. Performance wise, being able to run Dead Space Remake, Callisto Protocol, Final Fantasy VII remake at full settings, you know, many games that struggled on the Steam Deck, I can easily play them here. And I don't have to worry about, going into Linux desktop and finding some way to like I'm like you. I think I've even said this to you and I've said it on the podcast. I got tired of tinkering with the Steam Deck. I got tired of making tutorials. And just you guys don't understand, the viewers don't understand how much goes into that. It's time consuming, it's
ugh.
monotonous, and it's like, yeah, does it do well viewership wise? Yes. But it's not
Mid.
something we
It's
want to
kind of mid
do.
though. I don't know if it does as well as people think it does. Like some people are like, well, you're going to get views. I'm like, yeah, but how many people want to install that one thing? And over time, it will be good evergreen content. But then if they ever update the software, which like a quarter of my like tutorials need to be updated already. They're already outdated. I I hate dealing with that. I hate dealing with that because I hate repeating myself with that type of stuff.
The Shiaki thing. Oh my god.
Oh, I
That
created a script.
was
I probably need to go refresh that. I'm using a free Python service to host that script for people. I wonder if okay, that's besides the point. That's a tutorial that I made. I made a whole software piece for it to where you could put in your ID or I can't remember exactly, but you could put some stuff in and get the appropriate ID so that you could get it hooked up to the PlayStation. Um, but that's neither here nor there. That's just an example, I guess, of going and doing a tutorial. I hate capturing videos on a tutorial. I hate doing all that stuff. Um, because hooking up the Steam Deck to a capture card kind of sucks sometimes. It doesn't do dual output when you're in Steam OS or in like game mode. I hate that so much. Um, with Windows, you can do that always. SteamOS has some limitations, so I hate that. But we'll have to do another like maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do another podcast because we're going to be doing more of these together on like the hardware stuff. Um,
yeah.
when it comes to the content creation, though, you also have to know when to pivot, and I really want to hit this towards the end because this is personally affecting me right now in some ways, where you've kind of pivoted, but you're been more of a very much a prominent tech content creator and game content creator. Like you do hardware, you do games. You've never really like that's your forte. That's what you do a lot of. It's not you're not really like focusing too much on like let's like focusing where it feels like you have to be nowadays. Buttons on a controller, content creator. Um, being silly, obviously. Um, but focus the more you can focus and you feel like you can do that long term, the better. The problem is, it's just like with the Steam Deck. I thought, oh yeah, maybe we'll go for a while. Maybe Valve will give us some like more crumbs of news than we're getting nowadays. They're really not. Being a deemed content creator, I think a lot of content creators are realizing they have to pivot a little bit or broaden up or build another channel to do that, or it's stagnant a lot. There's one or two that I see that are growing kind of, and I don't know how well that's going to go. We'll see. For me,
Yeah.
I'm pivoting more or less. I like doing game lists. I like doing hardware reviews. I like doing some news, some I like doing this podcasts, maybe retrospectives and stuff like that. I like doing that type of stuff. But I'm also pivoting hard back into my video game. The reason why I was doing a lot of this from the get go was to learn how to market, to learn how to do a lot of the stuff, learn how to do content creation. I'm going back into becoming more of a game developer. I've worked with game engines a lot over the years. I've worked with building certain things, but I've never released a game, and I'm going to be releasing a game semi soon. I haven't announced much, but I'm doing in my other channel. I'm turning more into game development so that I know that like it lines up with my what my goals and passions are, and that I can kill two birds with one stone. Sometimes that's good. Like if you don't like video games, or if you okay, let's say if you do like video games, sometimes people don't realize you might not want to do what you're passionate about because you might lose that passion or your hobby. Or if you do have a hobby, maybe you want to turn that into um this type of thing, and it's not game. You love games, but you're like, well, honestly, I know a lot about fixing, I don't know, AC units or something like that. Do that. At the end of the day, like content creation is something that you can do long term, right? Like, Mikhail, you know this more than anyone. Like, you gotta be consistent. You gotta keep going. You gotta treat it like a job. And I think the more fun you can try to have long term, the better it is. But sometimes you're gonna have to go through the lulls, and
Yeah,
you're gonna have
and
to
I've been,
take it.
and I've been around long enough to see people come and go. I've
Yeah.
seen it's actually crazy. I was going through earlier today when we had left the beach, and I think we were at we were getting lunch at Sam's Club, and I was just going through my subscription list, and the amount of creators either that started with me or that I had watched years prior to getting into it, or ones that popped up and started blowing up, and then they just disappeared. There's a lot of people that will get into this. It's not for everyone. It's fun. It can be fun. It can be stressful. It can be a career. It can be a hobby, but not everyone is going to stay. And I've seen some really, really, really good creators that make amazing content. They it's not for them anymore. And I think that's the other thing you have to realize. Like over time, can you see yourself doing this for a long stretch of time? Can you stay consistent with this? Case in point, I have, and I'm always having to be very careful of things I say because I've had people. The podcast you and I did, I made a comment that upset someone. I had to be very careful of things, very cognizant. But okay, so you know
It's a
how
good skill though, but yeah, no.
it is, but it's like sometimes again it goes back to what we say context. I don't say things out of
True.
maliciousness, but a lot of people take it as such, and I spend so much time having to try and be like, that's not what that was meant to be. So, as an example, I know I've told you before about possibly starting another podcast, right? So,
You
person
crazy.
who, God, so the person who wanted to do another podcast with me, who actually got me into podcasting and by proxy content creating, they have their own podcast that deals in stuff not related to tech or gaming. They want to talk about the stuff with the Microsoft leaks and all this other stuff. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's set a time aside for it. Guess what happened? Time came, they no showed. I was like, okay, well, let's try again in a couple of days. That time came, they no showed. And so what I've noticed with this person and with talking to them, they don't want to have to be consistent with it. They kind of want to just do it whenever they want to do it, well after the news cycle. And I had to tell them not to be, not trying to be a dick, but my time is money. And I don't want to be that guy where I'm like, I can only give you this much time. I say that because I have a lot of projects I work on. A lot of projects,
Yes, a lot.
podcasts. I have got my
If you're
kid that I
imagining what he's working on, double that probably.
it's insane. Like I literally have a calendar and I have to literally blockade. This is what we're doing at this hour, this minute. Like I literally have everything down to a science. And so when I had to like with my friend, let's put it that way, I'll leave it vague. They didn't get that. They just think, oh, you're just playing on the internet. I'm like, no, I'm not. This is not playing. And I want to do this podcast with them, but their refusal to like take it more seriously is why I'm like, this is probably why other projects that you've done don't last. You got to be like, if we talked about the Microsoft lease now, like you and I were talking about it, who would care? That's old news, right?
I think if you have a good
But
twist
they
on it, if
literally
you have a good so here's the thing with all that, with content. If you have good twists, if you can bring something fresh, new to it, a new perspective maybe,
right.
there's a lot of things to do, and this is because I wanna do a podcast on the cyberpunk, how it went from bad to good or redemption cycle. I think that's a topic that could last for a little while longer. I think it would work well. But I agree, like, if you're trying to cover the news on that and you don't feel like you have a good twist on it, it's not gonna do as well.
And they don't have a good twist. They just want to regurgitate things that others have
Yeah.
said. What is that, like a month ago? I'm like, no one cares about that at this point. So,
Now,
and
if
it's just
you
that's the first. That's
yeah, it's interesting. You have to also know your community, your brand. Some people there's some people I'll watch. If they cover it a month later, I'm gonna listen to them on it. Just because
right.
I want to know what their take is. And you gotta know your brand, your community, kind of how you're like how you do stuff. So I think that is important. But yeah, like with us covering the news, especially if it's very what's already out there sometimes. I mean, I try to twist mine, but not always works. That doesn't always work out. Like I had the Steam Deck 2 news that I did like almost a week late and the video didn't do as well. It still did okay because people wanted to know what my take was on it. So you gotta weigh that. Do you want less views or not? Like I was fine with that because I knew it was a little late, but I wanted to give my piece on that. And so say my piece, say what I wanted, I guess. I don't know. Um, did you have anything else on that you want to talk about? Or should we need
That
to be
person.
starting to wrap this up. This is already the longest podcast I've done. I try to keep it within an
uh,
hour and a half. Well, 45 minutes to an hour and a half.
well, I mean, in this case, like, well, behind peeking behind the veil, we were gonna do something else, but I'm
Yeah.
just giving a time to compensate for that because I know how you've been trying to set this up, and I'm respecting the time and effort you've put into this. So, like, as a friend, I'm like, I'm here as long I've set aside. So it for
Yeah.
me, it's fine. But
I wanted to make sure
and
that
that's
we
the one
yeah,
thing I've
that's
always.
yeah. I
I
I
know we
I
were trying to set this
tried.
thing up for a while.
I have. And honestly, I'm really excited. I might have to take a different take on this, but um I still like what we did though. I like hearing you talk about all the different projects, all the different things. I've learned a lot from you, mekel. Uh and I also I just it's such an interesting world to be in, and I never expected that I'd be this far into it, um, let alone if I'm pivoting or whatever. And I am pivoting. Like in some ways, people can see that I don't do as much certain types of content, or I don't do as much content, and that will be revealed. I think that's healthy. I think if you're because I was struggling with certain content, like okay, Steam Deck, I need to come up with another thing this week. I just don't feel like I was giving my best. And I think some people maybe give up too soon on that. Maybe you need to be a little bit introspective and really do. a journey on what you want maybe want to do next or something like that. But there's some other
I do
people
have I
some
have
people, their brand is a certain thing, and if you do deviate, it might really hurt you. So you got to be very careful.
I do want to add a little bit to that. I pivoted a lot. Like I've been a content creator almost a decade on YouTube, and I pivoted a lot from. Remember unboxings? That was the thing. That was a big thing back in the 2010s. That was a very big thing. I did that. I was very, 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 very deep in phone tech. Um, and I
Oh
saw
wow.
like if you think the tribalism is bad with Steam Deck community or just handheld PC gaming, phone tech is, oh my god, that's bad. I got out of that and I burnt bridges with
I
that.
can
That's something else I
I can
want.
only imagine.
So if phone tech and I've had this one guy who used to be an AverMedia partner. Like he when he talks to me about phones, he talks down to me, like I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and I'm just and he tries to do phone tech, and he'll make one video every so many months and then complain about his viewership, and I'm like, dude, you're in phone tech. Come on now, come on now. You gotta that the phone tech is worse than computer tech at this point.
It's I wouldn't wanna be yeah,
Um,
that's the hard part. That's the hard part about all this too, is that, people get bored. That's I think retrospective game like, there's a lot of people that do that. I do think those will do really well for a long while. Retrospective games, like, if you
mhm.
have a good take on things, if you make good content, there's a lot of still places to grow, but there's a lot of competition too in certain areas that where if you can't brand yourself well enough, if you're just doing news, so I don't do as news as much, it it sucks because I get an anxiety. That's why I don't do news. I'll give my opinion on things, but I won't do hot news as much anymore. I try not to. Even if something pops out, I'm like, oh, I should do a video. I'm like, "Ah, should I though? Try not to do that as much. Because I like to chase things, but it gives me anxiety because then it's like, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I
Well,
missing?
and that's actually the main thing I wanted to bring up is like no one really talks about the mental health aspect of content creating because it's really taboo. If you were to talk about it, people will say you're complaining. Um, and it shouldn't be taboo. We shouldn't have taboos on it because you have to. We're in the public spotlight. We are technically public figures, so us having to constantly keep our ear to the ground of what's happening, keep our eyes open, keep refreshing feeds. That wears on us. Like you're saying about the
Yeah.
anxiety about the Steam Deck, there got to a point, and I'm so grateful, and I don't tell her this enough. I'm so very grateful for my wife, Lehua, because she keeps me so grounded. She has been with me through my worst and through my best, especially when it comes to content creating over the last several years, where I have been at all time lows, where I'm stressed out and nearly on the cusp of breakdowns, if not actually going through mental breakdowns because views. What do I need to cover? What do I need to make? This is trending. Do I make a podcast on it? Do I make a video on this? The ping ponging effect it's not healthy. And it's not only not healthy for you, the creator, but if you have a
Mhm.
significant other, they're affected. If you have children, they're affected. There are times when I had to catch myself because I'm just like, I gotta make this video, I got to make this video. And my daughter's like, Dad, can I want to go play or I want to do this. And I'm just like, but I gotta do
Yeah.
this. You're taking me away from that. It, it can get really unhealthy, and
Yep.
you have to step back. You have to have an anchor, like we were saying earlier, and not the Steam Deck, but you have to have an IRL anchor because it it it,
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming. That is anxiety can be paralyzing, and it can
There's
erode your
a
mental health.
ton of content creators have burnt out hard, meaning hard as in
Yeah.
died, as in committed suicide. There's a lot of content
Yeah.
creators that have committed suicide. There's a lot of stuff like that, and it takes a lot of work to do it. Um, I
Yeah.
even like with the imposter syndrome, I don't even consider myself a content creator sometimes because I'm like, well, do I? But I do create a lot of content. I don't. I'm just, it's interesting on pivoting and stuff like that, and doing more of the podcast because I like doing these long form content. I like talking to you. I can still consume the news, but I don't feel like it's anxiety inducing, so I consume it better. I can set on a
Yeah.
little bit. I like doing that type of stuff more than just has to be hot news. I just because it does well, but you're competing with a lot of other people doing it, and it's stressful because if you're not the first one reporting on it, then you're
Yep.
going to get a lot less views. Like I reported on like a year ago the Steam Deck. Uh, Actually, this thing right here, I have the Steam Deck dock, the official one, and you even mentioned like, "Wow, you're really on top of that so quick." It's like I just got
Hmm.
lucky. My community let me know, or yeah, I think one person's like, "Yeah, it just dropped." I'm like, "Cool, I'm gonna do a real quick recording of just showing the of just showing me going through the website and talking about it real quick." That's how that video did really well. Now, if I would have waited a day, do you think I would have gotten the same views? No, no, I wouldn't have, and I normally wouldn't like. Partially because I don't have the strongest brand yet. If I had like 100,000, maybe a million, then, I can get more consistent 10, 50, maybe even 100,000 views over time. It takes time. Building a brand takes time. Have patience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I know I've been all over the place on all this, but this whole thing's meant to be advice, maybe uncovering like kind of what it's like to be a content creator. I know we kind of do that every time a little bit with Mekel, whether it's on his podcast or here, but I think it's interesting world, especially in the games world where it's very competitive. That
Hmm.
you gotta have the personality. If you just gotta have so many different things depending on what you're trying to do, but oftentimes people forget is if you really play your cards, if you just and pivoting is can be as little as I just need to change not saying certain things. It could be a little bit of a
Yeah.
pivot. Um, just modifying, improving can you got to do certain things to get to a point where you want to be, but at the same time don't fret or else the mental health thing. I think mental health is a big deal no matter what occupation you are in, and in this occupation it can be very stressful. um just having people always having their eyes on you, and I think a lot of people grow a thicker skin, but some people never get over that, and that's why there's been suicides and stuff. So,
Yeah.
um, it can be bad. So yeah, mental health. Check yourself before you break down completely, before you hurt yourself. So, um, I don't know if I want to leave on a freaking because we need to end this. I don't I don't know if you have a little bit of time for a bonus level, but I want to do like a
I
10-minute
do.
bonus level. Okay, let's
I
do a
do.
10-minute bonus level, and then I got to get to bed. Uh, let's not leave this on a like we're not done yet. We're not done yet, audience. If you're still listening, if you haven't left yet, we have a bonus level coming up. You can either consume it through uh, the Patreon. I don't have a. I'm trying to figure out that thing, but you can consume it through the YouTube membership stuff. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, you can at least go to YouTube membership and become a member. I have a bunch of bonus levels there. I will be giving a copy to Mekel. So if he's going to put it up, maybe he'll put it up on one of his uh, wherever he wants to. You can also consume it there. Doesn't matter. You're supporting one of us, which is awesome. And thank you guys. With that, content creation has a lot of, I want to end on a good note. It has a
Okay.
lot of just pluses of being like knowing that you're, if people are viewing, if you have a lot of views, and you shouldn't be chasing views, of course, but like it's kind of cool to see people comment and say, hey, this helped me a lot, or this is a really good review. Or they like really vibe with you on topics of games, right? Like, oh, hey, I love this game too. I love that you love it. It feels really good to have that. I think I really like that. Try not to chase it
Yeah.
too hard, but it's nice to have that. And so there is a lot of benefits, even if it's not monetary, of doing this, even if you do it as a hobby, of just getting your opinion out and maybe learning to take criticisms and stuff like that. There's a lot of positives to doing it.
And, and one of the biggest positives I would say, for a lot of us, especially the us that are older, being able to do something that we never thought we could do, living a
Yeah.
dream, whether it's millions of subscribers and viewers or a couple hundred, couple thousand, or a couple dozen, the ability to have the option and the availability to create something, the creation aspect is amazing. And being able to
Yep.
put it on a platform for free hosting and it'll just stay up there is amazing. We never had that before. When we were growing up, that didn't exist.
Oh, and what it is
So,
now, what it was like 12, 13 years ago isn't even close to what it is now. It's
exactly.
crazy. And just, yeah, no, continue.
The biggest thing to me is like seeing people be able to achieve their dreams. I know some creators that have been able to like pay off their college student loans, take care of their family, their parents, their elderly, buy them a house or something, you know, get out of poverty. Like it's life changing. It can be, not maybe not for
Buy a
everyone, but
Bugatti. Not
you know,
buy
I
that
got the
no,
Lambo
I
outside.
got the Lambo. But yeah,
But
no,
the biggest thing with content creating
yeah,
as a whole is the what it has done that has changed society as we know it. You're not just limited to going to a 9 to 5 or having to go to school to get in college debt to get a degree to hopefully get a job that in 10, 20, 15, or however many years to get you out of the debt that got you in to be able to do something you want to do. You can literally pick up your phone, get a mic, get a webcam, and you can do it at your leisure most of the time. And you can make a living off of it. It's the
yeah,
Wild West for many in many
yeah.
aspects, but you can make a
You can be
living
heard
doing
and make
yeah,
a living, and
yeah,
it's cool. It's really cool. It's a
yeah.
really cool experiment. I say experiment because it's still evolving. It's like it's not like it's not super solid still, but it puts some power back into if you want to do this type of thing 20, 30 years ago, you'd have to go through networks. You have to go through a lot of
Yeah,
weird ways to do something like this. It wasn't really a thing. Now we got you can watch us wherever you want pretty much. It's so cool. And people forget that sometimes and really think
bro,
that, yeah,
you remember MCNs from a couple years
yes.
ago?
Oh yeah.
I was in one highway
Oh
robbery.
no.
Oh
It's all
god.
I've heard. That's all I've heard. I think we should start one. That's where you get paid. Just take other people's money and then don't give them anything. Not just kidding.
Bruh,
Uh, I don't know how I
bruh,
could live with
never
myself
again.
doing that. Ugh. So yeah, with that, this is the end. We got to cut this out before it gets to 2 hours. We're gonna have a bonus level. We're gonna have some fun, scary times with Mekel. Uh, yeah, we're gonna do some good over there. So mosey on over to that bonus level if you are a membership. If not, if you have a membership, if not, get a membership. And yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening. And thank you, Mikkel, for joining us once again.
Of
Catch you guys
course,
next time.
anytime.
Yep. Yep. Later, guys. Congrats. Secret level unlocked. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter to curb that craving for more. If you like this episode, then make sure to leave a like, rating, follow, or whatever the platform has. Also, make sure to check out our merch at shop.gamesrevealed.com or shopundead.com. Peace.